Hey guys, and welcome to an epic showdown between two clan mates as Captellus of DBD faces down Rebane of DBD. And boy oh boy, do we have a pointy-eared brawl today. We have the High Elves up against the Dark Elves, an old school grudge match. The Battle of the Sundering doth continue. Should be a really good fun game here on Toothgrass Hill. You can see both players have vanguarded slightly to get a bit of the high ground here, trying to make Obi-Wan Kenobi as proud as possible. And it's a trait that the High Elves are certainly going to want to fall back from. So let's hop in here and check out the builds. We do have triple Illyrian Reaver archers currently counter-shooting shades, but rather swiftly falling back. There's some very, very fleet-of-foot skirmish cavalry. I'm actually a big fan of them in general and think they're quite underrated. For the main battle line of the High Elves, have gone pretty elite actually. So we have Silver and Guard dotted all the way along. These stalwart spear warriors are armoured, anti-large, silver-shielded. They will withstand tide after tide of enemy. They are the true anvil of this build, and there's quite a few powerful hammers. And like is often the case with High Elves, their hammers will be their single entities, who we'll get to in just a second, because it looks like we actually have some Sword Masters coming to the battlefield today. Big fan of the Sword Masters. They are a little risky, very expensive, but they will twirl their blades in deathly arcs of doom and can really cut up the enemy elite infantry and clear an infinite amount of chaff. Down on the ground, though, we do have the old traditional, which you don't get to see as often as we once did, but it is the double noble on Chariots. These guys are anti-infantry, and boy oh boy can they pack a punch, both of which are coming with the Sacred Incense, giving that 10% missile resistance, very powerful to themselves, and they're going to be supported by an Archmage in the Sky of Life magic with Earthblood to heal up those nobles, as well as Dwellers below. One of the kind of weirdest spells in the meta. For ages, no one ever brought it and thought it was garbage, and now it is quite commonly picked. We also have the Book of Hoeth and Arcane Conduit to keep that magic nice and topped up, and of course we are going to be on top of a giant glorious Moondragon here. Let's give him a little neck scratch just to let him know the Moondragon, very, very powerful. Unfortunately does get overshadowed a little bit by the Star Dragon, but this is a very powerful way of playing High Elves, is those Chariots alongside a healing mage, particularly one on a dragon. For the Dark Elves, we have Dark Riders up on the high ground, 4 units. They are going to be used to protect triple shades with great swords, no less. Oh, hell yeah! This is super bad to the bone. So when these guys get in combat, they're going to be whipping out the old great sword and really hacking and slicing and dicing at the enemy to pieces. Looks like we have 3 units, so 3 of them versus 3 Illyrian Reavers should be a good fun scrap. For the main battle line, we have Bleak Swords dotted all the way along. Couple units of Cold One Knights, 1 and 2, and leading the battle line, we actually have Foot Lokir Felheart, not on his dragon here today, which is a little bit unfortunate because he would have fared very well up against that mage in the sky. He's going to be coming in with all his goodies, though, it would seem. We have Merciless Slaver, the Helm of the Kraken, giving him that regeneration and extra melee defense in combat. Foe Seeker, and Dreaded Duelist, so quite powerful indeed. And then we have a Sorceress of Fire, Fireball, Burning Head. Burning Head so good up against the High Elves due to their tight packly formations, as well as being pretty damn expensive. So early on, Shades are going to be opening up fire into the Silver and Guard. Now they are shielded with a silver shield and 75 armor, but that doesn't really matter if you've got this many Shades gunning you down. It's going to dish out the damage and really start to bring the pain and hurt. On the left-hand side, looks like some of the Reavers were indeed caught. In fact, probably countercharged the Dark Riders there to allow the Dragon to swoop in and just slaughter the Dark Riders, instantly starting to run for their lives. I do not blame them whatsoever. It looks like 2 units have already been forced off, so a nice early catch there from the High Elf player, though the Illyrian Reavers did pay a bit of a cost there, getting a little bit hammered. Likewise, the Silver and Guard in the central pocket have taken quite a bit of a beating as well. And then Reavers, yeah, just shattering off those Dark Riders, escorting them off the battlefield before the true battle really does get underway. Now, these 3 Shade units are going to be pivotal here for the victory for the Dark Elves. They are currently focused on the infantry, which isn't a bad idea to allow the cheaper Bleak Swords to overwhelm the High Elves. But likewise, those bolts do need to be going into the Archmage, as well as the Double Noble. The Nobles are going to be the name of the game for the Dark Elves to take out if they want to succeed here, because they're so good up against infantry, and that is a lot of infantry, though we do also have the Cold One Knights to countercharge them, surround them, pin them in place, and all that good stuff. The Illyrian Reaver Archers are driving forward now once more, looking to exchange some shots, hitting the Dark Riders at least for now. Shades, though, will be moving up, getting ready to unleash a salvo. It's an interesting stalemate here. The Shades will obviously easily beat Reavers if the Reavers simply sit still, but they're a lot more swifter on their horseback and should be able to dodge the majority of the shots coming in from the Shades. Silver and Guard push back the Dark Riders in the main battle line. Bleak Swords it quite comfortably dispatching the Silver and Guard here due to the fact that the Silver and Guard were softened up quite heavily. Bleak Swords pushing in front of the Shades here to help support. And we do have the Dwellers Below go down. Unfortunately, it is a swing and a miss. What a glorious animation this is. All the Shades do fall back, but at least it's going to keep them from shooting, at least for now. Down over here, the Dreaded Duelist himself, Loki Felhart, does sever the head from shoulders of his Sovereign Guard, but the Archmage of Life is still on a fucking dragon, and a dragon at the end of the day tends to be a little Elfie, and the Elfie is getting beat up at the moment. Archmage, though, does want to consider falling back. We do have a Burning Head go down the line, roasting some Sword Masters and Sovereign Guard, but likewise killing his own troops there. The Dark Elf Mage, certainly a pyromaniac of, doesn't really care who burns as long as all the enemies do burn. Oh no, it's actually going to catch a third unit of Bleak Swords. Okay, and he just about kind of tinged the back hairs there of that unit of Bleak Swords, but still some good damage on both sides there, and it's going to force back the Sovereign Guard and allow Bleak Swords to overwhelm Sword Masters, so not the worst cast in the end despite the friendly fire. The Colin Knights have managed to surround the Nobles, but unfortunately there is some Sovereign Guard support and a big juicy breath attack coming down the line by the Mage herself. That's going to help clear out the Cold One Knights, which is very, very important for these Nobles to succeed. We're going to see yet another Dwellers Below, but once again, the Dark Elf player's micro's just been on point, manages to pull his Shades free, taking real minimal damage there. And this is such a cool animation. I really wish it caught some enemies and picked them up and threw them around there. Looks like some Bleak Swords may take a tad little smidge of damage, but nothing too crazy. The Archmage has managed to jump and engage the Shades in combat at the moment with the help of the Nobles. Sovereign Guard, they may have magic resistance, but a big Burning Head coming for your ranks is still going to cause havoc and damage. Sovereign Guard taking quite a lot of work there as Bleak Swords do charge into their rear. The Archmage is doing good work onto the Shades. Needs to be careful though, doesn't want to get sniped from either side, and a big fat fireball is going to come in, clipping the dragon, and you'd think that dragons are pretty good up against fire, but I guess it's the insides of their bellies which are immune to fire. The outside still can be burnt. Sorcerer is starting to get sniped here by the Noble on Chariot, who's kind of doing some real janky animations there, trying to push his way through the Bleak Swords. There are Cold One Knights surrounding now. A big breath attack goes down on Loki Felhart. Deadly Onslaught is popped, but once again that dragon is going to swoop in, looking to try to assassinate the Dark Elf himself. The Sorcerer seems to be just about clinging on to dear life at the moment, but now she is terrified and run in. That is going to pull her out of the safety of friendly troops, and now the Nobles really can run her down and do some good work. You can see that Noble, though, is currently being distracted by the Shades with great swords, looking to run those guys over where possible. The Archmage is getting up into the sky once more. There's a bit of a dangerous situation starting to unfold. Cold One Knights were going to surround the beast and drag it down, but it looks like the crossbow bolts may be able to do that anyway, down to 700 HP, but the Nobles disrupting the Shades. And that's one of the really powerful tools that single entity Chariots have. They're so disruptive to battle lines, and you can see them bouncing around all over the Shades and some really good work there. Archmage is getting very, very low, however, down to just 1,100 HP. Bukahoref and Arcane Conduit have been popped, no doubt trying to save up some Winds of Magic to get another Earthblood in, and it looks like just in time the dragon swoops up into the sky to avoid the worst of the bolts from the Shades, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The Archmage is getting danger low. A big fat breath attack is going to come in though. Shades as well as Cold Knights did surround the Chariot, and you can see how quickly they can go down when the anti-large cavalry gets amongst them. And that Noble barely clinging on now for dear life. Loki is rallying the troops once more. We go at them. We take the enemy beasties head on. And it looks like the Archmage just in the nick of time gets an Earthblood off, down to 400 HP. However, even the Lyrian Reavers are being forced into combat to try to save the dragon, which is currently broken. Nobles do fall back as well. Looks like one is only down to just shy of 500 HP, and the High Elves all of a sudden rocking. But if you have an overlook of the battlefield, the Dark Elves have been decimated. They still do have their characters left, however. A big fireball is going to go right into the face of the Archmage, down to just 265 HP at the moment. Shades are being cleared out. We do have some Bleak Swords, and Loki is going to be a big pain. Now remember, he heals, but only when engaged in combat, so he'll be absolutely fine up against the Silvern Guard. The Noble, however, with some effective cycle charging, may be able to deal with Loki relatively effectively. Bleak Swords, though, are trying to hold back a bucket ton of Silvern Guard right now. Not going to go too well for the Bleak Swords, though they are more kind of damage dealers, whereas spears tend to be a bit more defensive. The Silvern Guard are simply just too elite. Another fireball is going to go in. The Archmage attempts to juke here, going back and forth, but right up the rear end. Unfortunately, the dragon does fall, and likewise, so does the rider. It's a sad day when you do see a dragon on the ground like that. So Death does indeed embrace the Lord, but likewise the Sorcerer is probably going to pay for that with her life. The Noble, still full health at the moment with 86 kills, is on the prowl, though the Sorceress is rather swift on her steed. Should be able to escape the worst of the Noble's wrath, at least for now. Bleak Swords do actually beat back the Silvern Guard because the main unit is instead chasing away Shades. Again, not a bad idea whatsoever. Silvern Guard being forced off by Bleak Swords, so we kind of have a lull in the battle at the moment. Sorcerer unfortunately did break simply by the insults of the Noble coming at her. She was like, nope, not about this life, I'm going to flee. Loki, please protect me. And Loki is trying his best, but unfortunately he is on foot here today. We're going to fast forward a little bit, as it does indeed look like at the moment just units are being routed off and chased down, which is certainly the best way to play for this. Loki is going to be falling back to his Dark Rider and Bleak Sword Bros to try to form a Bastion last stand. However, the Sorceress of Fire has been dealt with, so if we take into account everything that is left, we have 72 Silvern Guard and then the 2 Nobles, one of which though is disgustingly wounded and could be killed with one good slash of the daggers from Loki himself. However, the problem there is Chariots and single entities in general still have the same damage output as they did when they were full health down to really low health. So that's still going to be 2 Nobles coming after the Fellheart himself, who is leading the charge, leaving his Bleak Swords in the dust. Follow me, lads. I'll lead you to glory and death. Unfortunately, it may be their death, as the Nobles actually focus down the Bleak Swords, completely ignoring Loki of Fellheart, which is a good way to do this. You get rid of the Bleak Swords, Silvern Guard then engage with Loki, and you cycle charge with the Nobles. One Chariot, though, is being forced back here. It is wavering very close to break-in. Bleak Swords, though, do start to buckle and burst themselves, fleeing for their lives. And this beat-up Noble probably just wants to shatter them and chase them away. Allow your full health Noble to really get in there and dish out the damage. As we can see, Loki is fully surrounded here, twirling his blades. This reminds me of a scene. There's a TV show I watched when I was a kid called Spartacus, and one of my favourite characters, Gannicus, was in a situation like this, just surrounded by people prodding and poking as he was dual-wielding blades, desperately trying to escape. But one advantage here the Elves had, which the Romans didn't, is these big fat chariots coming in, and that is going to be enough to break Loki. They didn't kill him, but they didn't need to. They simply had to break his mind, body, and spirit, and he slumps away into the shadows once more, where I'm sure, as any good Dark Elf is, he'll be plotting his revenge. Well played, though, to Captellus as well as Robane there. A really awesome game from both of them, and I love to see the elf-on-elf violence. Now, it was really a story of the Nobles and the Dragon. I think for the most part the Elvish infantry simply was there to be an anvil, and the Reavers to fend off enemy skirmish cavalry, whereas Robane's force was much more focused around those Shades and the Cold Ones. And could the Cold Ones catch the Nobles? Yes, they could, but as soon as they did, those big breath attacks came in and saved the day. Though I think saving the Dwellers Below, actually, for when the Nobles were surrounded, might have also been a clutch play, but Captellus knows better than me, and didn't need to do that in the end anyway, just about coming through with a glorious victory. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We will get to the damage dealt and damage value of all of the units in just a second, but if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a big fat thumbs up on the video, subscribe for more content into the future. We do drop videos every single day, with a clan war later today at 6:30 PM BST. We have a tournament tomorrow being live streamed, loads of cool stuff, so yeah, come hang out. There are, or feel free as well to comment down below what you thought of the builds, what you thought of the matchup in general. Who were you rooting for, the High Elves, the Dark Elves? Did you have a favourite moment? Was there an MVP? Or feel free just to yell, quack at me, drop some bread, whatever you want to do. I just really appreciate reading the comments, honestly. It is really fun looking through and seeing everyone enjoying the stuff we're putting on here on the channel. There are links down below as well in the description below. If you would like to support the channel, you can do that via Patreon. We actually offer lessons over there as well for Total War Warhammer if you're looking to dip your toes into the multiplayer scene. Also link down below to my Discord where you can submit replays, there you go, just like Captellus did here today, or get involved in events and tournaments and stuff I host. But anyway, on to the damage dealt and damage value. The Archmage of Life on the Mighty Dragon, 2,724 damage value. Beautiful dragon play, getting in all those breath attacks despite the pressure from the triple Shades. Now, it may have been a different story if Loki was up in the sky fighting, but again, still has healing at the disposal, and despite getting a really solid damage value and damage dealt, arguably the best thing this Dragon Caster did indeed do today was come in with those hills and keep those nobles fighting, who got 103 and 101 kills apiece. So good at killing infantry in what was a relatively heavily infantry to build from the Dark Elves. 1,559 damage value, 7,100 damage dealt. The second one, 1,800 damage value, nearly 8,000 damage dealt. This one was nearly dead, but the other one was basically full health at the end. Sovereign Guard did slightly get slaughtered, unfortunately. The best here being 636 damage value and 86 kills. The Shades really picked these guys apart, and they were just so outnumbered, but they did their job. They were there to hold the line to the bitter end and die fighting in the name of Ulthuan and all that is good in the High Elves' opinion, and allow those nobles to really run over the enemy. Swordmasters got butchered, unfortunately. A really nice burning head early on from Rebane. Killed some of his own forces, but also got rid of the Swordmaster potential. The Reavers did a really, really beautiful job, particularly in the early game. 830, 625, and 776 damage value. Not bad whatsoever for some nice, cheap skirmish cavalry. For Rebane, I absolutely loved the low-tier pick, and he performed amazing for being on foot. Very cost-effective here today, getting 78 kills, 2,292 damage value, nearly winning the day in the end, but unfortunately the double chariot was slightly too much for him. Sorceress of Fire, 2,000 damage value, some really good power burning heads from her, and fireballs to help finish off the life caster for the High Elves. The Bleak Swords across the board didn't get good damage value. They kind of killed the targets they could, the Silver and Guard that were in front of them, and then got run over just by chariots, dragon breath attacks, and so on. The Shades were played pretty well. I like to see the Great Swords in action as well. We have 845, oh my god, twins damage value here, and 1,047, so certainly not too shabby. Dark Riders, unfortunately, did get caught out early on, and none of them really managed to pay for themselves, unfortunately. The Cold War Knights, however, were pivotal for the Dark Elves to seal victory, and they nearly managed to pull it off, surrounding the chariots at multiple different points. Unfortunately, there was often Silver and Guard support due to the good play there of Cap Tellus. 1,585 damage value on this unit of Cold War Knights. The other one, 917. Really not bad whatsoever. And before you guys do go out today, Rebane Fantasy is indeed a Twitch streamer as well. I'm sure he can leave a link down below in the comments. I'll try to do one as well if I remember correctly. But if not, look up Rebane Fantasy and you will find him on Twitch. Does all sorts of Total War Warhammer content. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.